Well, hello, garden friends. It's Christy with greenlivingoffgrid.com, and today we're going to talk about how to make a solar-powered hydroponic grow box that you can have anywhere in your home. For this project, you're going to want a 27-gallon Sterlite modular stacker that has at least 25 inches in length, 18 inches in width, and 19 inches in height. The reason you want to have the height is because inside this 27-gallon modular stacker, we have the 4-gallon modular stacker. This is going to be your grow unit for your plants. You can have your plants growing in this. Then we'll put it inside the 27-gallon stacker. And you want to have enough height here so that when you mount the LED lights on the lid, there will be enough grow height for your plants so that they won't run into the lights. I also am going to recommend that you pick up these flexible grow lights that, although they come with an electrical charger, it all comes undone so that you could plug this in right into your solar panel. I recommend that you get at least a 40-watt solar panel, but you might even want to go 50 or 60 watts because I noticed that the lights do get dim when it gets cloudy. So depending on your sunlight, you might want to go the larger panels will give you more light. That is if you have a window that can accommodate that size. This 40-watt size is a pretty good, comfortable size for my window, so that's the one I went with. I just connected up my solar panel, and what we're going to work on now is finding the right end to put on the solar panel cable to connect with these lights. So what I did is I took each of the little ends and I matched them up, and the best one for this King Solar 40 watt is the number C size. Fits in the end right here. Plug it in, and there you see the light strip is lighting up. Now we'll plug in some of the other ones. They're not very bright right now because we're getting quite a bit of cloud cover, but they will brighten up once the sun comes out. But there we go. We have determined that the lights work. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a little hole in the side of the tub so that I can connect these onto the lid and have it go through the tub and be able to set the lid down on the tub. I have here a 1/2-inch bit, which will give plenty of room for the connectors to come through the bin if need be. There we go. There's our 1/2-inch hole. We'll clean it up a little bit and run our electrical there. Once we're done with mounting the LED lights, we'll be able to connect it up. So here I've mounted a couple of the strips. You have to remember that this is the underside of the lid, so that when it turns around, obviously this connection joint that comes right off of my solar panel is going to come through that hole in the back that we just made in this back right hand corner, because once you flip that lid over, it's going to connect right over here. So I have the first strip coming here. I'm mounting it about a couple inches in from the edge of the lid, and you got to watch that you don't connect any stickiness into this track here where it's going to be sitting on top of the bin. You don't want any wires going into that. Like I said, this is going to go inside and through the hole in the back. Then it's easy to just connect the next strip right here, and then the third strip I'm about to mount now is going to come down the middle. It's really easy to mount these because all you have to do is take the little command strip sticky part off the back, and they peel right down and stick. However, I have had trouble with these things coming loose, so once I get them stuck where I want them, then I'm going to drill some small holes along either side of the strip and put some zip ties to keep these guys from falling down. Well, here you can see I've zip tied up the lights, and I want to point out something. I zip tied where there were resistors, because as you can see, these white areas are the actual lights. These lights get pretty hot when they're running, so I zip tied carefully where there were resistors. And also, I just want to point out, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you don't nick the lighting when you're drilling the holes on both sides through the lid to put the zip tie through. I've also tied up the cables so they don't get caught in the track of the lid when I turn this over and set it down on the tub. And now I am ready to snip off the zip ties. Well, here I have snapped off the ends on the zip ties. Everything looks nice and neat and orderly. And now I'm going to take this end and connect it up into the power that I have coming through the hole in the back right corner of the bin. Alright, I've connected everything up and you can see all the lights are lit up. Now about the lighting for this grow box. It's important to note that you need approximately a minimum of 32 watts of light per square foot of growing bed. Now this grow box is a little over a foot and a half or so. And so I'm going to recommend these, since these set of 3 strands only produce 16 watts of light. Your plants will thrive better if you add at least one more set of 3 lights, but I would say let's do 2 more strands, because the output on these lights, although their input is around 32 watts, their output is about 16 watts. So just for 1 square foot of growing surface, it will take at least 2 strands to do that. And because this box is a little bigger than that, I'm going to set up 3 sets of 3 strands of light. Now your light comes in this box with a power supply if you need to power it electrically. Now one thing I discovered, all of these strands of lights can connect all together, and so you can have one power source coming in if you have a power supply that can handle the wattage input that these lights draw. Now something that I did talk to the manufacturer, and they said that this power supply that comes with the unit of 3 strands cannot power up any more than 3 strands of light. So if you're going to plug this system in to an outlet, it's important to note that you'll have to power each set of 3 strands with their power supply, or you connect them all up and you get a solar panel that can handle the additional watt draw. Now my solar panel, my 40-watt solar panel, does a pretty good job with 3 strands of light. But once you connect the next set of lights, drawing approximately 64 or so watts, this solar panel is greatly underpowered. So you're gonna, I would say, go on the, like I said before, go on the bigger size when you're purchasing your solar panel. And because I'm going to suggest for this size box that you have 3 sets of lights, so you have a total of 9 strands of light, you're going to want to probably go not just an 80 watt, which would cover, you know, the next set of lights, but if you're going to gauge for more light rather than deficient light, I would say go for a 120 watt solar panel to power a set of 9 lights. And the manufacturer did say these can easily be strung together and powered all together, as long as you have a power supply that can handle that. And in this case, a solar watt panel, that would be 120 watts. Or you can just choose to power each set of lights separately, either electrically with their power supply provided, or with 3 of these 40-watt solar panels. Well, here you see I've added the additional 2 more sets of 3 light strips, grow light strips. Each one of these grow light strips puts out 6 watts of light. So with a total of 9 strips, I now have 54 watts of light output. As you can see, I had to be real careful as I tied up all the cables, because we want to make sure it's not falling down in the track where this has to sit down on the tub. Some of these cables kind of do tend to want to get in the track, but when they're all connected up, especially these guys right here. But when I have them all tied up to their power source, they don't fall down into the lights. Now the way I've set this up, I have this set up so that I can connect each of these sets of 3 strands to their own power source. And if I want to, I can also connect them up together like this. And this connection goes to this connection. And then of course, my line in will be this one. If I upgrade my solar panel to 120 watts that can handle all of these lights, I can tie them all together easily and run them all on one power source. But for now, I have them individual, so I can run them separately on electrical power or my 40-watt solar panels. And you can see it puts out a pretty good amount of light on the inside of the bin, but the next thing we're going to work on is lining the inside with tinfoil to increase the brightness of the lighting. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to apply a bead along the top edge. Because hot glue dries really fast, I'm only going to do this one edge, then I'm going to attach it an inch down from the top. And then, once this is secure, I can do the rest of it. So here we go. Let's start with the top edge here. Once I get this in place, I press it in place, now I can do the rest of it. Okay, let's get that in the corner. Now we'll do the bottom. Well, here you can see I have put tin foil all around the edge of the unit. It's about an inch down from the top throughout. Obviously not interfering with the hole where we have the electrical coming through. Well, as you can see, I have everything all hooked up with all the lights. 9 strands of light producing 54 watts. And I put the white paper towels down there so you can kind of see on the reflection just how much light is being produced by these lights. You'll see growing panels that light a 1.5 foot area. That's 45 watts output, and this with 54 watt output should be enough lights for your plants. But if for some reason you find that even with all these lights it's still not enough for your plants, you can always add some additional lights around the edges of the bin or even on the lid. I think you could probably put some here on the outer edges of the lid. Probably another set of 3 will fit. And this with 54 watts of light already, if you add 3 more of these little 6-watt strands, that's 72 watts of light, which even that is more than enough. A lot of grow light units put out 75 watts, and even the 45 watt units light a 1.5 foot grow space just fine. So these should be enough for sufficient growing for most of your plants. Well, here I have everything all connected together. All of the strands are tied together, and they're currently running off of my 40-watt solar panel, coming in with just one power line in. Everything's all tied. And as you can see, the lights are a little bit dim because, like I said, the 40-watt is a bit underpowered to be able to run all of these strands of light. I really do recommend 120 watt or something around that range. It seems like 40 watt is just about the right solar panel you need per set of 3 strands. But it does power all of the strands, all 9 of them, just a little bit weak. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drill out the holes in our grow tub that fits right here in the center of our grow box. So for this part, we're going to use this 2-inch hole saw. attached to a drill gun. And we're going to be putting in these 2-inch net pots that have the wide lip design. If you haven't done this before, just take it easy, take it nice and slow when you're drilling your holes, and go back and forth gently. See, this one's catching a little, so I'll put it in reverse there, and then go lightly. There we go. There's our first hole. Alright, so there we have all 5 of our holes drilled out. You'll notice I did try to place them closer to the edges of this, of each side, because that allows for a little bit more spacing between the plants and your middle plants if you kind of put it into this corner. But you want to leave enough lip, as you can see here, that I can easily set my net pot. I can easily set my net pot and still have plenty of room for the lip to catch. Now that I've cleaned everything up and I've added my water, it's time to add the nutrients. But before I do, let's check and make sure we have enough water. I put approximately 3 gallons of water in here. And what I'm looking for is that I have, as you can see, just about a 1/4 inch of water in the bottom of each of the net pots when I put them in here. You want to have about a 1/4 inch of water, because when you add in your rockwool cube, this is rockwool, you just cut the little cubes out. You want to make sure that there's enough water so that when you have your rockwool cube and your hydrogen holding the rockwool cube in place, it keeps this rockwool cube moist while your seeds are sprouting. So now we're ready to add the nutrients. Since we have about 3 gallons of water in this tub, we'll use about a tablespoon of this General Hydroponics Maxi Grow plant food. This is the best plant food for growing lettuces and spinaches. And it calls for 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon of fresh water. And since we're just growing lettuces or spinach in this tray, usually I only need 1 teaspoon per gallon, and we have approximately 3 gallons of water in here. And here are my plants that are growing in the unit. I have, as you can see, 5 spinach plants. The amount of light that they get directly impacts how fast they grow. Now you'll notice here in this hydroponic unit, I do not have any aerators or pumps in this system because I'm growing the crack key method. And lettuce and spinach does well in crack key, and here's how it works. At the bottom of your plant where your root comes out, as the plant uptakes the water, it creates a little bit of airspace from the bottom of the net pot to where the roots actually touch the water. And that gives the plant enough air to grow. And these little small plants, they don't necessarily need aeration. I have grown them with both aeration and without aeration using this crack key method, and I find that they do really well in this system. You can see how nice their roots are, and this is without any aerators. I just let the water dropping in the unit provide enough air for the plants, and I do fill it once or so in the 2 months that they're growing in here. I'll add a little bit more water, but I'll again leave a little bit of airspace from the bottom of the net pot so that there's a little bit of air for the plants. But they do really well, and one of the ways you can tell that your plant is doing well, both by the green leaves, is that you have really nice white roots. That's a sign of a very healthy plant. So this is called the crack key method of growing. And if you want to add an aerator, there's plenty of space here to be able to put a small little air pump, like a little aquarium air. You can even just get a one air line if you wanted to, but like I said, with small plants you really don't need to. And if you're running this on solar, you're not going to want to add the additional electricity needed to run an air pump. So, here. Another thing that's important to watch is the temperature inside your box. This box, when the lid is down, holds the temperature at about at least 20 degrees above the outside temperature of your room, because these lights produce so much heat. So what I do to keep the temperature down is I ventilate the lid area with these little clips from Home Depot. They're 2-inch clips, and I just clip it to the lid of the box all the way around, and I just set it down, and it provides a little over an inch gap between the lights on the lid and inside the box, and that provides some good ventilation. And with that setup, I find that it maintains right about 10 degrees above the outside temperature. So this is maintaining right around 78 degrees, which is pretty good for the plants that I'm growing inside the box. My lettuces and spinach like it around that temperature. So that's what I do, and you can do the same thing. Just ventilate, get these little clamps, and if you find you need even more airflow, you can get bigger clamps to adjust the airflow needed for the types of plants that you're growing to maintain that temperature where you want it. Well, thanks for watching. As always, don't forget to check us out at greenlivingoffgrid.com, where you can find links to all of the materials we used in creating this solar-powered hydroponic grow box. And you can also learn more about hydroponics and aquaponics and healthy living, off-grid living on our website as well, greenlivingoffgrid.com.